they do? Let's go, man. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to... Oh, yeah, what's your name? The dog chick.
Yeah.
Sharpay?
Sharpay. She did that.
I'm a girl dad. I know all these weird random... Hey, we're Dale and Maureen. Welcome back to episode 2. I don't know. I don't think we can qualify these episodes because we're just going to talk. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Dale and Maureen, welcome to Family Legacy. Welcome back to Family Legacy. If you watch the intro, we are literally sitting in the same spot because we turned the camera off, drank some coffee, talked a little bit, and then turned the camera right back on. So we have not moved. And we may not move this entire thing. Like, we may move and just put the same shirts back on just to fool you guys. I don't know. We're just that weird. Corny?
You keep saying, like, we're that weird? I don't think it's a word.
There's a we here. We are connected. We are one. We are one in every sense of the word, darling.
I'm not the weird one.
Oh, so when we have to pay for something, when we have to fix the car, when we bought the kids something, but we are not weird.
Yeah, you're weird.
Your mom's weird. Just kidding. I love you, Patty. If you ever watch this. It's just a natural, like, I can't help but say your mom.
Because he's really 14.
Yeah. The girls say it. It's great.
Yeah. I ask them something serious and they say your mom. That's your fault.
Yeah, mom.
Yeah, mom.
So, again, this is us. We want to have fun. We love Jesus. We love each other. We love to be goofy. My wife does not have the greatest sense of humor, but she likes...
It takes me a long time to get jokes.
Yeah. Sometimes really, like, next day.
I bleached my hair. You can see my real roots, but I think really deep down in there, they're really blonde. From all the years of bleaching.
You can see my roots, too. Yeah, it was all the bleaching that killed brain cells.
We don't need to talk about that.
So, anyway, we're doing Family Legacy podcast. Just our family's legacy, our family's inheritance to the world. Maybe maybe 3 people watch this, and that's okay. We have no expectations on this other than we feel this is what God has called us to do as husband and wife, as pastors, or as a pastor and his wife, ministers.
Are we both considered?
I don't know. That's a really like deep theological question that honestly I just don't care. Like, you're a minister of the gospel because you're called to go take the gospel to the world, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, but then we're married. So again, there's that we thing. Like, I'm a pastor, so
does that make me
are you by default? Right? Like, I don't know.
Automatically a pastor.
I got some really smart
even though
people.
I'm not ordained like you are.
I mean, I got some really smart people that probably have a say, but honestly, like I said, I don't really care. I said what I said. Deal with it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah. So this is us.
This is his New York showing.
Yeah. Like I said this morning, you can take the boy out of New York. You can't take the New York out the boy. Because what did I say? I said something, and Mikey's like, "You're not in New York anymore." Oh, I said kiosk. Kiosk. I said it weird. I forget how I said it. Instead of kiosk, like, I said it weird.
You said it weird on purpose?
No, I didn't. I don't know why I said it weird, but then Mikey, like, jumped right on it. But anyway, I digress, which happens a lot. Like, squirrel. Especially without a script.
Wait, which one of us has the ADHD? Is it me or you?
Yes. Exactly.
Focus. Because if you're unfocused, I'm going to be unfocused. This is
I've done 97% of the talking per usual. I think you should start.
Like, are we going in order? Like, how we?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Isn't this what we talked about in the should have talked about in the pre-production meeting? Not like live with all of our 7 viewers.
Listen, this isn't
recorded.
Live. We're recording.
I know,
you
but
edit this part out.
But what if I don't want to edit this out? What if I'm going to literally just This is us. You're gonna take it and leave it. I probably will because I'm doing editing. Anyway, yeah, go ahead. You pick where you want to start, then.
I mean, I guess we could just start with our backgrounds and upbringing.
Well, there you go. Like I said, I've done most of the talking, so.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. Like, I'm so bad at this stuff.
It was a cold, snowy, wintry morning.
Oh, it was, because it was in March.
There you go. I just started for you.
So I was born in New York. So when I say New York, I mean like not New York City, like upstate New York.
Yes, if you don't know that there's New York City, right? Everybody said New York, everybody's New York City, Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, 5 boroughs, maybe Long Island. But there is a state that is 500 times. So it's like this right here is New York City, and then like my hand and my head are like the rest of the state. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Ulster County. I don't know. My parents were young. I think my mom was 19 or 20 when she had me. My dad, I think, is like 25, 26. He's a little bit older than my mom. I am the oldest, so I was their firstborn. It was just me for 2 whole years. I don't remember like I have like snapshots of my childhood, but I don't remember a ton. I mean, I'm about to be 41 here, so we're talking about 41 years of memories. I don't know. I don't know. Like, we moved around a lot. We stayed in the same town, until I was a teenager, but we moved around from house to house. Went to a really small school. Not a small school. But like the elementary, we didn't even have a middle school. Like the middle school was being built, I think, when we called it junior high, so 7th and 8th grade. They were building a middle school. My sister was actually the first 6th grade class in the new middle school. But they're all connected. Like, so you could walk from the elementary all the way through to the high school. They were completely connected.
I always thought it was like a complex, kind of like the Canto.
No, it was all like one school. Like the high school was separated from the elementary school by like swinging divided doors.
I had never been there.
Yeah.
We didn't go to the same school.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
But yeah,
more on that later.
I mean, my childhood wasn't bad. I mean, we had fun. We had a lot. We didn't go on a lot of trips or anything. We didn't have a lot of money, but my parents always made life good, fun. Grandparents, my dad's parents lived pretty close to us. So
Did they live with you?
Well, Grandma didn't move in with us until a couple years after Grandpa died.
Oh.
I was in like 7th or 8th grade when she moved in. But yeah, super close to my grandparents. That was like my safe place. We're gonna talk about a lot about generational curses, and that showed up in my parents. Things were rough. They had some rough patches, but every marriage does. We grew up Catholic, but we weren't really like every Sunday. Like I went with my grandparents more. We went to what they called religious education, so it wasn't always Sundays. It depended on your grade when you went Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Sundays. But yeah, I mean, I think it was the average American Catholic upbringing. But yeah, I mean, we went through a lot of rough times. My grandfather died when I was 10. That was like my first like rocked my world. I'm gonna get emotional. Like, it was over 30 years ago and it still hurts. Sheesh. I didn't think I was gonna cry on here. But yeah, I was 10. Obviously it still rocks me. But I was very, very close to my grandparents. That's who I went on vacations with, and weekend trips and air shows, and a majority of, I think, a lot of my memories are tied up with them. So, yeah, are we going into the teenage years too? Because that's...
Whatever you want to... You need a few minutes, or do you...
You can talk about that, yours, and then we can go into teenage years, because teenage years... Woo! I was a teenager.
I
was not a nice
two things.
Years.
Like, I realized when you were talking, I was like glaring at you, and that's just my face. Like, I was listening intently. I wasn't like, but I did make a face when, and I like had to, when you said you didn't grow up with money. I want to say I tease my wife, because it's not really teasing if it's true, but like, she didn't know what government cheese was, and I grew up eating it. So, like, how many pairs of Jordans did you have?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you can't tell me that I've never owned a pair of Jordans.
We put a lot on credit growing up. A lot on credit.
I have never owned a pair of Michael Jordans.
Even to this day?
To this day, I have never owned a pair of Jordans.
I know I'm getting you for your birthday this year.
So, I don't want them now.
I'll take a pair now.
So you can't tell me you didn't grow up with money.
Okay, just because my money and your money were different doesn't mean that I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I didn't say we were poor. I just said we didn't have a lot of money. My dad worked 2 jobs.
And I'm not saying you weren't provided for. I'm just saying you didn't know what government cheese was, those are just
everybody's stories are different.
Yeah. I'd just like to give my wife a hard time.
Because we didn't wait in line for government cheese. We might have had it, and my mom just hid it from us. Packaged it up as something else.
No, you can't hide the block of government cheese from back in the day. Like, Anyway, so I was born.
Oh, I'm so glad you were born.
I don't know what that smile was. Just channeling my inner Eli. So I was born in November 1981. I'm old-ish.
You're 41. You old.
I was born, and I don't talk about this a lot. I guess if you know me, you know, but I was born with a very rare medical condition. My organs are completely backwards. My, literally, perfect mirror, backwards, that's black. You can't. So anyway, if this is, your organs, right, these are mine. Perfectly,
flipped.
Because, if this is my heart, this is your heart.
Yeah.
Right? Mine is over here. Completely flipped, backwards, opposite side. That's all of my internal organs.
But not just your organs, everything. Your nerves.
Yeah. So, we figured out, a bunch of years ago that, even the main, vein nerve thing that goes up to your eye, those are switched too.
Not that goes up into your eye, then.
Whatever.
Optical nerve.
Yeah, it goes up into your eye.
It goes like this.
Where does it come from? Your nervous system, which is part of your vertebrae in your neck, which comes up from your spine into your eye.
Yeah, but you were like this.
Because it comes up out of you. I'm sorry, it comes up like this.
Right,
that's a whole different...
Continue on your story.
Told you, this is just us. So I was born with backwards organs, and then a year and a half later, they discovered that I had a cilia issue. And cilia are the little hairs in your nose. So anytime you take a breath, the cilia is there, your lungs, your bronchial tubes, your esophagus, all that. Not esophagus, the other thing.
Even into your gut, like your
Right.
stomach and everything.
So anywhere that oxygen goes into your face orifices. Oh, you completely. I don't know. You messed me. I don't know why I said face. Anyway, so mine don't work properly. Instead of flowing, and again, I'm not a doctor, but instead of like flowing in a rhythmic pattern, something similar to that, they're supposed to mucus and dust, and supposed to keep all that out and get all that out naturally. If you have stuff in your lung, it's supposed to bring it up so you can get it out. Mine, so instead of going something like this, mine.
They're like, hey, it's
Party!
a party!
Which is why I'm always stuffed up, always sound nasally, because I am. My body won't naturally expel all the things. So I spent first year and a half of my life, give or take, in and out of Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York City. Born to two parents that did their best. My parents separated when I was 2, divorced around 3, somewhere in there, I believe. Grew up living with mom. Mom did her absolute best with what she had. Single mom, again, we talked before earlier about generational stuff. There's a lot of that. So mom, if you ever watch this, I do love you very much. Thank you for everything you've done. I know things have not always been perfect, but I can't say enough how much I appreciate the things that you did. Doesn't mean I always liked it. Doesn't mean I always agree, but I know you did the best. If it wasn't for my mother and her prayers and all of that, wouldn't be where I am today.
We wouldn't be.
We wouldn't be, yeah.
Huge.
So yeah, grew up single parent, home. Hung out with my dad sometimes on the weekends, and as I got older, that kind of got less. Love my dad. Still get talk to him here and again. Every once in a while, I don't know why that came out very country. Here and again.
Here and again.
Again, this is just my brain says, say it.
Florida's rubbing off on you.
Good Lord. Yeah, so grew up in church. Grew up in a Christian home. For all intents and purposes. There's an old joke that Mark Lowry, Christian comedian, used to tell. If church doors were open, we were there, and that was my life. Had awesome grandparents. My dad's dad died when I was very young. I really don't remember him. Didn't see his mom much because she traveled when I was younger. Actually lived here in Florida. We were still back home in New York.
I didn't know she lived down here.
Mm-hmm. Up in Homestead, near Jacksonville area-ish. Her and Charlie had a house down there. I think. No, I'm kidding. That was Pennsylvania. I don't know. Where was I? Sorry. Yeah, so my mom's parents, again, talk about generational stuff. My mom's parents had been married for 19 years, divorced for 20. When they died when I was about 16. So again, generational stuff. Which I think we'll talk about this more at some point, but which is why when we got together, it was so important that we didn't get divorced. It was one and done. That wasn't going anywhere. Grew up in only ever going to Christian schools. Only ever went to small private Christian schools my entire life, which on one hand I'm very thankful for. On the other hand, back then I always looked at it as kind of a curse because I didn't get to experience real life. And I think, I definitely grew up in a Christian bubble for sure. I grew up not knowing there was, I knew there was other stuff because I grew up in a Pentecostal church. So there was definitely, in a lot of ways, no hiding from some of the things. But I can remember again, I'm terrible with time. I was probably like 6, 7, 8 maybe even younger. I don't know. We had a television, and you used to be able to plug it into the wall and hook up a little thing, and you could get a couple channels. And it was Saturday morning. I was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and
if you hear a thud, that is just our child in the next room. I think she just fell out of her bed again.
There's no screaming or crying, so we don't have to hit pause.
She's not sleeping. She's just playing in her room.
She is as graceful as a.
She's got her mama's coordination.
Three-legged moose.
Go ahead. Pentecostal church.
So we're watching. I was watching the Ninja Turtles, and Splinter was meditating, and there was fire candle or something in front of him, and this thing, spirit, whatever it was, came up out of the candle, and Mom lost her crap. That's it. We got rid of TV, the actual TV, for years. Eventually we got a TV back and it was just DVDs and stuff, but literally didn't have a TV in our house for years. But again, grew up listening, to Christian radio, and they used to have this show on at night or something, and I want to say on the radio, dude is casting demons out of people, something like that. It might not have been that extreme, but that's
I was thinking Odyssey or
no.
Well,
no, that was a little bit, but it was late at night, and just hellfire and brimstone, and so
this is what you fell asleep to.
Yeah, which if you know me, which is exactly so I can remember, and again, this might have been one time, but obviously it made an impression on my little brain.
Yeah.
And again, little brain being the but so I knew there was stuff out there, but I grew up in that Christian bubble, and again, looking back, I'm very grateful for that, because if I had been exposed to that, I probably would have gravitated more towards that than I did, and life would have turned out very differently. So I'm thankful that God put me in that to protect me. Again, I didn't look at it like that then. Yeah, so grew up, I had a lot of health issues. I was always a chunky kid, but played sports, loved sports, basketball, baseball, riding bikes with kids in the neighborhood. And even that was weird because, I went to a Christian school. I didn't go to the local public school. So I met some of the kids in the neighborhood through Little League and stuff, but I didn't have a lot of friends in that respect because I didn't go to school with them. So I was kind of the weird outside kid, but made some friends, kids in the neighborhood. We moved a lot. A few years ago, we sat down and tried to add up how many times I've moved in my life, and at that point, I think I stopped counting. I've moved as many times as I've had birthdays, and I think that's still pretty neck and neck even now. But I was one of the same school because I was in a private school, so we moved around different towns. Some of it was right around the same town in Montgomery, so played a lot of Little League there, knew a lot of the kids there. Just enjoy. I grew up on a horse farm in upstate New York. It's weird because depending on to tell people from Florida that you're from upstate New York, it gives them the indication that, hey, there's a whole state up there. But then you meet somebody from Syracuse or Rochester or Buffalo. They're
you live downstate.
You live downstate, right? Which we do. It's all a matter of perspective. Or we did. Yeah, so, my grandparents, my mom's parents spent a lot of time there. They were, one of the similarities that Maureen and I have is they were my rock, my safe place. My grandfather never missed a basketball game, softball game, school, whatever. Grandma was always gave me everything I ever asked for. I mean, even the day she died, she left me her car.
But no Jordans.
No Jordans. I never asked for Jordans. I don't want Jordans. I probably did at some point, but I asked for a pool, and she put a pool in her backyard. Big stuff.
Big stuff.
It's so funny though, because I grew up. Again, Mom did best she could, but we grew up. I would say poor, and not dirt poor, homeless, but we grew up money adjacent. I would say because my grandmother had money, my grandfather had money, my great grandfather was very wealthy, my great grandmother didn't know how to drive until she was 65 because she had servants. Like, so obviously that money didn't get handed down otherwise. But again, it's one of those things like.
Well, your grandmother did leave you some.
No, again.
Yeah.
It's again. God knows what I could handle, what I couldn't. Yeah. So moved around a lot. Always went to the same school, and then going into sixth grade, I changed schools, and this time was because I changed schools. I'm sure I think there was something like at the church of the school, the other, I don't know, but it had nothing to do with my behavior, which comes later.
We were.
But so
teenagers.
I changed schools, but at the same time, because I was changing friends, we left the Pentecostal church and went to a Baptist church.
So you went from one extreme.
Yeah, talk about culture shock. Like, I still will contend to this day. I was the first. Now I was. How old are you in sixth grade? Like. 12, 13. I will contend to this day. I was the first person to ever wear jeans at that church. And that's who I was. Like, I didn't know any better.
Shout out to Harmony Baptist.
Like, Church. I walked in and.
You came as you were?
Yeah, and that over the years caused some grief and still does cause some grief. Not specifically there, just in general. So yeah, that was getting into middle school. I had never played basketball. Again, I was a chunky kid, but one of the themes in my life is mentors, specifically men that have, for whatever reason, seen something in me and didn't matter anything about me, like what I would say, what I would do, a chair I threw at them. Love you, Lance.
You know who you are.
So my grandfather was the first one that, again, he was always there. All my things. Mm-hmm. And then so in sixth grade, I met Bill Binney. And whew.
Oh, got a little emotional over that.
Bill loved Jesus. Bill was wacky.
Is that where you get it from?
He did not know a thing about basketball. And he would tell you this. He didn't know it, but he loved us. He was just fun to hang around. Mm-hmm. But I must have quit that basketball team every day, if not every week. And he would always just knock it off, come back. Mm-hmm. He loved me. He took me under his wing. Spent a lot of time just pouring into my life, and I'd go hang out with the family and birthday parties, and he just, I don't know. I can't say enough good things about him. But we used to, like, you do the huddle up, mm-hmm. 3, 2, 1, cheer, go, whatever. We would say El Shaddai, and I don't remember what that means. It's a biblical term. Like last year, there's a food pantry around here that's called
El Shaddai.
El Shaddai. So I seen it, and I took a picture and I sent it to him on Facebook. And I was like, "Hey, I saw this and I thought of you." He's like, "I can't believe you remember that. That was 25, 30 years ago." But again, he was just
It means the God who's more than enough.
There you go. That is, yes. So Bill, thank you for that. I love you. He is
the all-sufficient one.
Well, that's that. So that started. That makes perfect sense. So again, I had. I didn't know you were still in contact with him. Every once in a while, we're connected on Facebook. We don't talk much, but yeah. So play basketball again. Learn to love the game of basketball. For me, I guess I got pretty good at it. And then met Dave and Rachel, who Dave was all through middle school and high school, was my youth pastor. Rachel was one of my teachers. Again, it was a small Christian school, so like everybody kind of come and find out. Rachel had babysat me when I was like really little, and more on Dave and Rachel later. But yeah, so just met some really cool people. You know, that was like biggest thing in middle school. I mean, I was picked on. You know, again, I was a chunky little kid. It was weird, just funny looking.
I seen pictures of you. Look that chunky.
Well, compared to all the other like beanpole kids, I was fat. I mean, you know, again, probably some self confidence issues. You know, not whatever. And you know, honestly, the other thing, and I don't know how this manifested, but I can look back now. Like today, and we've talked about this before. Today, like in this day and age, it's not common for kids to have parents who are still married, especially for 17 plus years. When I was in middle school, I think I had like one, maybe two other friends whose parents were everybody else's parents were their parents, and they had been married forever. So I think that definitely
added
caused some stuff,
confidence issues.
And then got into high school.